All right. Welcome to the FPL. This is not an Arsenal America podcast. This is David Smith.
Travis Hoyk.
Brian Shesko.
Gentlemen, you can look on the screen there and check that out. That Arsenal badge plaque that I have. It's a good day. Good day to be an Arsenal fan. I got home today. I'd watched the first half at work. Got home, got in the shower during halftime. Well, that's not true. Maybe right after halftime, and was watching the game in the shower. I had the phone posted up over the shower as I'm showering, and it's like sitting on the ledge of the
right next to the toaster.
Yeah, good.
Toaster in the shower. Interesting. Watching the game, and Saka scores the goal in the second half. And you would have thought that I was broadcasting games in La Liga because
Was there anybody home?
I didn't even care. Yeah, I had my son and daughter was home. I didn't care. I screamed that until I ran out of breath, and then I did it again. And it sounded amazing. Sometimes things sound better in the bathroom, in the shower. I mean, obviously, people for ages have been singing in the shower. It's a thing, Travis. I know you sing in the shower.
I don't.
And
I don't.
I know Brian sings in the shower.
Brian sings at all the places.
Yeah, he hums and sings a lot.
It's always like Carly Rae Jepsen, though.
Yeah, that. But
Or Rebecca Black.
It kind of depends. Yeah, depends what day it is. There's at least one song for every day of the week.
And then after that, I was doing Arsenal chants in the shower. So I was
about Arsenal
fired up.
Sweets in the
But then before
pocket.
I was done getting out of the shower, Saliba gave the ball away, and then my chants stopped. And then I got out, dried off, and watched the rest of the game and had a very relaxing rest of the afternoon as Arsenal beat Real Madrid. This is not a Champions League podcast. But as I would love to make it all things Arsenal, it was worth talking about. And let's be honest, in the league, I don't have anything to talk about as it's Liverpool. As I've said for months, it's Liverpool's league to lose.
6 points, man.
So
gotta get 6 points.
I'm fired up. Arsenal have a legit chance, I think, at winning the Champions League. Their defense, I think in all the Champions League games, are averaging 0.5 goals per game. And
Riveting.
It's the best defense in the Champions League throughout this whole process. Beat Real Madrid 5-1 in aggregate, and look, I'm not saying we pour in goals, but we got a good enough defense. This kind of reminds me a little bit of the Chelsea team that won it. They beat Barcelona in the semis and then Bayern in the finals. And Chelsea had an amazing defense. Their offense was okay, but Chelsea had an amazing defense, and they grinded it out, and they won it. And I think Arsenal has a legit chance. It's such a different look. I've said this before. I think it's harder to win the
It's a good thing you're on track.
Sure.
I mean, our first
right.
item is
Let's
Arsenal.
Let's dive right into it. Yes, that's exactly right. Arsenal because Dave. And you know, I legit think
I even wore a red and white shirt.
I know. I appreciate that.
I don't
know.
I need to find out where the Jolo Jets are.
Where we can find out where the Jolo
I got it.
Jolo
Elementary Jets. Is that a school, or does someone just
absolutely.
make a fun shirt? Brian doesn't even know where he got that.
It's local.
Stop.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's entirely in Virginia.
Wow.
Not a network of schools or something. Just
I need to find some more information, but
Okay.
it does seem like it is a local school, literally to where we're sitting.
That is closed. Or
That is
used to
permanently closed, but I don't.
This is fascinating. Anyways, Brian, thank you for supporting the red and white.
It's the least I could do.
That makes the world of difference to everyone and all Arsenal fans. And look, not many people gave us a chance to get through this part of the stage. We won £117 million, or that will be committed once we get to the semis.
Not bad. Not bad.
You know what that is? That's transfer fees. That's
Isak money.
That's 1.5 players. That could be a striker. Arsenal could have bought their striker today by getting through. So
Probably.
look, that's
almost 3/4 of a Cunha.
yeah,
Could be.
right.
3/4 of a Cunha.
There you go,
Is that your
Travis.
pod title?
It took Brian how long? 5 minutes in to come up with the title.
At least he did that one on purpose. Last week he was looking at nudes on accident.
Absolutely.
News, not nudes.
gosh.
No,
I know
he said
Brian.
nudes.
Brian wants me. I know Brian would probably love for me to clear that up.
No, all I
Looking
yeah,
at news,
please,
although it kind of sounded like nudes.
thank goodness no one that I work with pays attention to anything I do outside of work.
I don't pay attention to you
I
at
was
work.
gonna say, but still,
Oh man, it's good stuff. Anyways, all right, we will get to all the fantasy
yeah,
talk.
you're gonna have to explain at some point when I don't know in 30 minutes. Something like how far down in the list is it? Just what this means for rotation for your team. Obviously, double game week coming up for Arsenal Football Club. My expectation would be it's too far away. The next game of significance for you, the Champions League semifinal, is so far away.
It's at least 2 weeks, right?
Right, but I mean, just that even the double game week to me seems like it shouldn't impact.
Agree, and they play.
Shouldn't impact your roster.
I don't think it's going to impact anything.
Right. The games are spread out enough. The worst that
Not
could happen
for this double
is,
match week.
The worst that could happen would be that just you treat Saka with, it's kid gloves, bubble wrap, etc.
Wrap him in cotton wool.
Cotton
as they
wool,
say.
exactly. Bubble wrap is the American way of doing it, right? But either way, just that's not gonna. He's played so well, and because he's freshly back, to me, it seemed like that's a.
Yeah.
He's got to keep.
Nah. He and Gabriel are going to collide in training.
Oh Lord!
Like whoever else that
Gabriel's
was at
not
one
in
time.
training.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to come back just in time to
He's
collide
out
with
for the rest of the
Saka,
season.
and it's going to be a hip injury that they can't diagnose, and
Quit wishing all this
is-
ill
this
will,
is what it
Travis.
is.
Stop that.
So
All right,
we're done
so-
with Arsenal.
Are
I
we
guess-
already?
We did.
Surely we can't be done yet.
we
Well,
were
no,
done pretty
I was
early.
just gonna say because it is right.
All right.
It's only been 7 minutes. Let's be honest.
Just that the next thing I feel like is how did your first of the double game weeks go?
Right. I survived. I got through it, and what did I do? Okay, there we are. Wrong page. Here we go. No, look,
This guy.
I did fine. I had a 76, Brian, or
Yeah,
73. 73.
That's excellent.
You did better.
I did not.
Or you had a you're right, you did not. Sorry, you had a 58.
Sorry, you suck.
But there were
Right.
some big scores in the mini league this week.
Yeah.
League Diane turned in a 103, League Damien a 96, League John turned in a 99. Travis, our own one League Travis turned in a 94.
Holy cow, Travis.
I mean, there was a lot of people that did better, but I also took a hit this week too. So to bring in Munoz, got a -1. So
Oh,
hurts.
that's
could have been
brutal.
5 better.
Yeah,
Wow.
if we were
Would've been-
retitling this, like how the chip, even talking about this specific part of the thing, I would just say only Newcastle is good now. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
What do you
if
mean?
you score, I'm just saying,
Just-
that had everything to do with whether you did good or not this week.
I
I'm
forgot about the game today, by the way.
I'm saying,
Newcastle didn't.
you had
I
something
was-
else. You had something
I
else
was-
to pay attention
Alice
to.
did.
Palace forgot there was a game today.
That's for sure. No, just I'm saying my score was okay. I said last week because of who I picked, I knew I was getting the same score. Like I was assuming average just because I didn't do anything out of the ordinary, didn't play a chip, basically had the same.
You hit the average too. That's actually
Right. That's why I knew that was going to happen, that because of Captain Isak and not triple Captain Isak, didn't get one of the Newcastle midfielders and picked the most boring possible Newcastle defender.
he got you 7 points. What do you care? That's great.
I'm saying, that I already said last week.
He wanted Shar.
I would not have picked him if I were
Shar
if I was
scored today.
doing
I
did
know,
too, didn't
he
he?
did.
Oh,
He,
ooh.
Shar was worth
Yeah.
at least a 16, I think.
Yikes.
FPL account on X, Alex Volo, Vollo.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad you
captain
said it the way you did.
captained Fabian Scher this week.
Bold move, Cotton.
It's an extremely bold move, and it's a fantastic score for your captain. It did significantly better.
If it was Jacob Murphy.
Yeah. But the true winners are anybody who picked Harvey Barnes at all.
Okay.
So anyone who picked Harvey,
right.
he went to 27 points in the double game week, top scorer by a margin. And
you just were reveling in it because you love him so much.
Yeah, it was my favorite thing to have not picked him, and also thought that's a good person to pick. But no, like I just think if you scored 60,
that never happens to
you. If
you
scored average or you scored 90, it's because you had
Jacob Murphy.
It's because you had Jacob Murphy. It's because you picked Livermento, Schar, even Trippier got an assist today.
Yeah.
Or you went crazy and had Pope as your goalkeeper or whatever, and you know, even last week you probably weren't feeling great about it. This week or this game, you
feeling really good?
Feeling much better. But condolences to anyone who took Oliver Glasner on an assistant manager chip. 34 well, Eddie Howe, the obvious. I mean, that's the biggest swing of all time.
Eddie
probably.
Howe
Is if you went Glasner over Eddie Howe, and you're staring at zero. Glasner scored negative points somehow for assistant managers in the last two games. Best away team for most of the year gets 9 goals scored on them in 2 games.
Crazy,
inconceivable. But 34 points in the double game week for Eddie Howe. That's just. I mean,
I know
that is, and if you had that, then that's the difference between you probably scoring 100 or not. So, I mean, good on anybody who went for not even differentials, but if you picked, definitely if you picked Harv, definitely if you picked, I mean, because most people weren't going to Trippier or Fabian Scher because of price. So,
because you had to have Munoz.
Absolutely. Essential double game weeker. He was playing twice. How can you not have him?
Yeah, I fell into it. Same thing with Mateta.
Man.
So that's a great lead in for double game week 33. I mean, other stuff happened. There were other good players or whatever. There was some other good scores. Yeah, I think so. But for double game week 33, the team's doubling. Again, it's Crystal Palace, but then Manchester City, Dave, of course, your guys, and then Aston Villa. But for Crystal Palace, not the greatest second double game week audition, I guess. Everybody's got probably 2 or 3 of them in their team based on the way transfers have been going for a while. Travis and Dave, if you had 0 Crystal Palace players in your team right now, would you be transferring any of them in for this double game week?
Not after those
it's a tough one. I don't think so. Arsenal away looked good because of their away form, but like we were saying earlier, there's so much time between their next meaningful match.
Right.
It's just it doesn't look very, very good.
Eze, the only Crystal Palace player to attempt even 3 shots in these 2 games.
He would probably be the only one I would look at. Truthfully,
I'm telling you, the second
Sarr was fine.
The second their third goal didn't go in against City because of Eze's knee was offside.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, a switch flipped in the game, and it was
in the week.
Same today. You're down 1-0 because of a Jacob Murphy, a excellent goal, and then you get a penalty, and Eze blows it. Just tries too hard or waited too long to make a move. Was trying to get Pope to make a move, and Pope didn't make the move that he was hoping, and basically kicked it right at him.
Oh my gosh!
So
I didn't know that.
So if you're an Eze owner, you're screaming because he
has a chance for a goal.
Yes,
and gets a
chance
non-goal.
and a game tying goal at that point, which
could
then
have changed the game. Yeah.
Then, like a minute later or whatever, is when Newcastle scored the second goal on the deflection. That's how Harv got his assist today. Was the Gahey own goal?
Wow. So
instead of 1-1, you're down 2-0, and that's it. Then your mentality's gone. Chris Richards, Eze, Mateta, and Sarr combined for 6 big chances in the 2 games. Eze scored 1 goal. That's it between those 4 guys.
Mm.
But I'm saying it's two games is more than 0 games or 1 game. People are still going to put him in their team.
So, what does your team look like? I mean, are you moving from them?
I'm definitely not moving off of them. I think
you just wouldn't target them.
So the one person I am thinking about getting rid of that is a double game weeker is Savino, because I am one of the people who put Savino in the team.
What a dummy! What's wrong with you?
It was so obvious 3 or 4 weeks ago when he was starting every single week that he was all of a sudden not going to start. You should have known.
You got the memo. How did you not get the memo?
Mateta is currently the 5th most transferred out among forwards. Yeah. To be fair, he's the 3rd most transferred in, but still, I wouldn't expect.
There's some,
it's like 30,000 or whatever. Yeah, but weird. Still, that's why I don't know what to. I don't think that it's
getting mixed signals.
I just don't think it's going to matter. I don't think it matters that they sucked in these 2 games
because they're not going to suck again.
No, it's impossible. The same thing happening over and over again. No, that was what I was going to say. Is it more that they're like 4 games is a lot in two game weeks?
Yeah.
And like you're just going to get tired because football's hard? Or is it like their away form was just bound to fall apart sometime? Like you just can't.
That's an interesting point.
You can't sustain that the whole time. Eventually,
their away form was so good, they're eventually going to regress to the mean.
We talked about it last week. You already knew going into the City game, things were iffy because you didn't really know who the defense was going to be. You knew you were going to be without Gahey for sure. Whether or not you were going to have Lacroix, that was totally up in the air. But his fitness ended up being okay. And did you watch it? They're up 2-0. So even in that game week, the number
they were dominating
the
game.
Of tweets of people talking about the miracle of Oliver Glasner and using Glasner, like how that their away form needs to be studied by the scientists need to research this.
And then it just flipped on its head.
And then after halftime, it was like tweet deleted. Like, sorry, didn't realize that things could change quickly. And then it's 5-2. And
it only takes one, doesn't it?
But that's why I guess that's what I'm saying. Like until Eze gets if it's 3-0 against City, who knows what happens from that point on. Maybe it's 6-3 at the end of the game for all we know. But I'm just saying, like, up to 2-0, everyone would have been like, oh yeah, give me more. I'll go get a 4th. I would have 4 if I could. And then now, like, basically a game and a half later, and it's just, I don't know if I want any of these guys. I don't know. That's why I'm just asking the question. No, that's all. I'm not.
It's a good ask, Brian.
But you're not. That's the thing. You're not getting rid of.
It's a good ask.
Thanks.
You're not getting rid of Mateta. You know what I mean?
Some people are.
If I have him, I'm probably not I don't own him.
30,000 people are.
If I had him, I probably wouldn't get rid of him.
You want to go to City?
Well,
yeah, we can skip around.
I'm just saying.
We're just going to move to players.
I was going to say
chip strategy is what we need to talk about ultimately, more so than anything.
Which is exactly what these 4 double game week teams are about, I think.
Well, and so Dave, you had a question earlier that we kind of talked about pre-pod.
Right.
You were kicking around the idea of a triple captain or a bench boost.
Sure, I want to play one of them this week. I think going into this week, I was considering, kind of feeling that I was going to bench boost. Well, then I kind of looked at it and I'm like, I don't have any guys on my bench that are doubling. So why, unless the matchups are really juicy, why do it now? Why not triple captain? Why not triple captain Saka this week? Why not triple captain De Bruyne this week?
Well, so that's why I'm saying the double game week people. If you're gonna, first of all, if you're gonna triple captain Saka, are you saying you would even think of doing that? Because that's why I'm saying at the beginning.
I'm sort of thinking about it.
To me, because of the amount, I would think he has to play. People seem to be nervous about his minutes at Ipswich because Ipswich blows, but home to Crystal Palace. I just think regardless of what you have coming up, I'm saying You play
minute-
play Crystal Palace on April 22nd. The Champions League semifinal is April 29th.
Yeah.
So you have that much time.
It's a week.
That's one full week.
Yeah.
If it was 3 days later,
right.
then I would say absolutely not.
Right.
It's a week.
Yeah.
Are they worried about him re-injuring whatever was busted
I don't
before?
think it was his hand.
He played 70 minutes today. Did he get 70 minutes today?
He played more than that. He played like 80.
Was he limping?
Of
No.
course.
He's always limping. Come on. He's
He,
always
he
limping.
limps off
That's how
every
he- that's
time,
how
no
he-
He
matter
actually
what.
didn't limp off today. He actually
Maybe
just-
something's wrong.
He actually just subbed off.
I'm saying
When you're beating Madrid at actually when he went off they were not winning, but I mean, look, we've never lost to Madrid, so I don't even know what that looks
Look,
like.
you're living your history because you have nothing else to bank on. I applaud you for basking in it.
We've never lost to Madrid in the Champions League. I don't know how or why. Liverpool can't say that, but Liverpool.
Yeah, but Liverpool had Loris Karius.
Has a Champions League, and
At least, yes.
at least one.
At least
I think. Do you have two? You have two.
6.
Is there 6?
6.
jeez,
All right, whatever.
this is why they hate you.
It's fine.
No, the obvious double game week captain. So I'm sure tons of people will be on Marmouche this week because of the double.
I already own
Yeah.
him.
Right.
That's
So
not bad.
Saka, if you if you're not worried about the minutes risk, then
But you have to be.
at Ipswich, home
Home
Crystal Palace, right this very second, you're not going to get a better combo. So
Right.
the question of is he back?
Right.
Will he play at
Yeah.
least 60 in both?
I think
and if
so.
he does play 60 in both, you'd have to say, given what you just watched of him in the last 2 or 3 game weeks,
Right. It's probably worth it.
he's definitely has to be a top consideration.
So I think
I'll give it that to you.
anyway. So getting back to your question, Travis, about the chips, was considering bench boost. But if I don't have guys on my bench that are doubling, is it
Then
really
why?
worth it?
And I mean,
I want to take advantage of the double match week. I'm going to have 6 guys.
but a bench boost
on
isn't helping you do that.
No, a bench
right?
boost is not.
Triple could.
A triple could.
right.
And, Saka's ownership, it's up to 22%. I don't know how many other people, I don't know. I think other people might be using chips this week, not triple captain. And
I would say
that's another reason.
I would think if you haven't bench boosted, if you didn't bench boost last week, which I honestly am surprised at the number of people I saw who said yes, I am, like who said bench boost 32, and you look at it and you're like, I guess it's okay. Doesn't seem that great. It did not look good. And a lot of people did it, and it was as disappointing. Again, you could have made it work, but I would just think, like, you talk about the amount of points that you got from your total team. You might have started a bunch of bums, but your bench was like Kirkez and I don't know. You benched who else had an okay game?
I had 30 points on my bench this
Holy
week.
cow! Why didn't you bench boost?
Because I was playing the assistant manager chip.
Oh,
I had a lot too.
30 points.
That's a lot of
on my
Pickford
bench.
had 9. Vissa and Houston.
Oh yeah, Vissa
Yeah,
was a good one.
Vissa, House, and 8 Nori are
Even
on my
though
bench.
I said start Vissa
Eight
against
Nori.
Arsenal.
What a troll, man!
I said start Vissa
Yeah, you
against
did.
Arsenal last week
And you
and
didn't.
do it.
yeah,
Again, Brian, what's one of our favorite things
Do as I say.
for
not as I
forever
do.
on the pod?
yeah, definitely don't do. What
Don't
you
listen
say.
to ourselves,
Yeah,
right?
Don't listen to what you say.
Gosh.
I'm still committed to that, by the way, for next season. Letting Brian basically pick my team.
Just via the pod and just make
We're
the
gonna figure it
changes.
out.
Yeah.
Look,
I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna take hits every week. It's gonna be awesome.
To me, I think the lack of a convincing triple captain option, I don't know. To me, I feel like I want to save it as long as I possibly
For what? But for what? When would you use it
Well,
then?
36.
It's 36 is the only other shot.
36 is the only other way you can have it, and the reason why is just hedging toward one of those two, either between City and Aston Villa, because that's we could talk about that too. Just the kind of who the favorites there would be,
Is
But
Holland
right
going to
now-
be back by then?
Does it matter?
I don't know if he is.
It might not matter.
They are. They have something. They're going to have something to play for. Very
for
likely.
sure.
It sure hadn't sounded like it. They're too deep into this, like the scrap for those the top 5,
Right.
and the double for them is Southampton and Villa. I mean,
City's
which is
on
big.
55 points, Chelsea 54, Villa 54. I'm not going to include Bournemouth in there. They're on 48. And then Forest at 57
Yeah.
and Newcastle 59.
It is really tight.
So
in those,
within
top
5
7.
points, that's
Yeah.
the top 3 through 7, 5 teams there.
It's wild. That's a good. That's a
So-
great
Yeah.
race.
I mean, Nottingham Forest, I guess there's an outside chance. If Nottingham Forest somehow advances and you get the double of Leicester and West Ham in double game week 36.
I wonder though, if City and Villa are playing each other in a double match week in 36, and they're both, and they probably will be, the 1 point separates them right now. I'm imagining in a few match
They're
weeks,
gonna
it's
throw
still
the
going to be
kitchen sink at
close.
it. Yeah.
That might be for the 4th or 5th spot in the Premiership, and those games always feel tighter to me and less scoring.
Well, this week I think a lot of people, I kept, like we talked about last week, I kept Nico Williams on my wild card. We talked about why Milenkovic was one of the top defender transfers in. Everybody,
Yeah.
Elanga was still a top midfielder transfer in, and he ends up coming off the bench in that game. You lose 1-0 in the last possible second, crushes the Cells owners and everybody who had one of the
brutal.
defenders. So I mean, that's
That
why I'm
game,
saying
that game right there literally chopped. What would the number? Is that 10 points, 5 points, or 4 points?
it's a lot, and the reason
Or is
why
it- what is it for a clean sheet? 4 points. 4
'Cause
points for a clean sheet.
Yeah.
you had
4.
Milenkovic, who
I had Milenkovic and Cells.
I'm not sure who the top bonus point getters would have been at the point when
If
the
they would have
clean-
held
But
that
it
clean
very
sheet.
likely
just-
would have been.
well, just
but
be-
they might have been up there.
Yeah.
They
for
might have
sure.
been, but I'm also thinking like Everton so dominated that game, like they just smothered Nottingham
Just
Forest
crazy.
in that game.
Forrest looks tired.
Yeah, so that's why I
They look
wonder.
tired.
We can ask about them later on, just to just kind of how their schedule is going out. But I guess what I'm saying, like the like as far as the double game week players, like you're not definitely wouldn't put a triple captain. Like you'll play them in the double game week. You're not triple captaining a Crystal Palace player in this double game week.
No.
If you had a City player, Marmoush is an option. I
Yeah.
would say he's an option
Okay.
this week. The City people who you would even bring in, like you were alluding to here a minute ago, it's 3. It's the Gvardiol,
If you- yeah.
who already is in a lot of teams.
Yeah.
It's
Even
Marmoush,
though-
who's already in a lot of teams.
Even though he hasn't done much, Carnival.
And it's now De Bruyne, who was on no one's radar a while ago, and now is all of a sudden a top
Yeah.
2 or 3 transfer in for the game week. for
Carnival did
midfielders.
have a 6-9, and then he had a 1 against
Right.
Palace.
So the numbers for even in the calendar year still aren't good. I feel like we've talked about this before. This is not it's not a unique statistic to this podcast by any means. But basically just to say he's taken 7 shots in 2025. So
Something's changed.
He's playing center back. So that's the biggest thing. He's playing every game, so you love the minutes. He's just not doing what he was doing before. He is not marauding. He's not nearly as involved on the attacking end as he was whenever they had a fully fit, central defenders.
Who would have thought that they would have had to get rid of Kyle Walker to move Vardiol into center back?
As FPL Meerkat pointed out 10 days ago, though, clean sheets for Manchester City, or for Gvardiol at least, Gvardiol clean sheet games are essentially 8 or 9 pointers. For because Ederson / Ortega rarely makes saves. The other players who have been playing in defense, including O'Reilly, who I thought, when I saw the starting lineup last week, I would have thought, oh, who's that? Is he a defender?
Right,
He's not.
right.
He's classed as a midfielder.
of course.
Diaz is the only other defender who gets bonus points for any clean sheet things, but Gvardiol's is way more involved
Sure.
in most of the action. even as a central defender. So he ends up accumulating the bonus point system points that end up getting him up high on the list.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, this double game week, do you really expect City to keep a clean sheet in either game this double game week?
Everton.
You do?
Yeah, Everton's trash.
They're really playing tough, though. They're really playing tough, though.
They have been playing ever since Moyes came back.
They
haven't actually been playing better. And I know that you said they smothered Forest, but can they do that? Like, can they put another performance in? Like
can
that?
Abdoulaye Doucouré somehow squeak a goal in there? Yes. Can Dwight McNeil off the bench somehow get someone to have an own goal? Yes.
I don't think so.
I just am not. I have almost no confidence.
Well,
in
I have.
them
Okay, I'll say this.
I definitely not two clean sheets.
I have zero
slight confidence that they can get.
I don't have much confidence in City's defense.
Right. That's what I mean. The only other player is, how romantic do you feel about De Bruyne?
I feel really good. I think I'm going to bring him in.
Goal and an assist, 12 points this game week, has played 90 minutes and 86 minutes in the last two games. The quote that everybody's going bonkers about is when he talked about his own health at the end of the last match week. This is a readily available quote out there. It's been a hard year. Having a hernia wasn't fun. That could also be a podcast title. But I think now I would say I'm basically pain-free for the last 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Last 6 weeks, and that's a massive difference. It was hard, but now I feel free. Able to do a lot of training sessions and feel I can do a good job. He has been doing a good job. The last 2 game weeks, 8 shots, 4 on target, 7 shots from open play, all tied for second most among midfielders in the last 2 game weeks.
He looks like the guy who we used to know and love, and I guess him being healthy has been the issue.
And these are his last 6 games as a Manchester City player.
I think he's going to show out. So, well, I'll save it for night moves.
So that's it. The only thing is, can you get to him? Do you have how?
If you have Palmer,
I was going to say Cole Palmer is going to drop in price.
Bruno Fernandes,
yeah, you can easily get to him. If you're a lunatic and you have Heung-min Son still on your team for some reason, you can go straight to him. But for me, it's a little more difficult. You could talk about that as also part of the strategy because of how well Newcastle is playing. Anyone with 2 or 3 Newcastle players, what are you doing with them as they're about to go into a single game week against just Aston Villa this week, and then
a blank in 34?
Well, no, they do. They play Ipswich in 34, but depending on your strategy, the way a lot of teams have been set up is that for your free hitting, if you still have a free hit, so many blanks in 34. Almost require you, if you haven't used your free hit yet, you're using a free hit for blank game week 34.
Gotcha.
So to me, like, whether or not I have Isak in my team in 33 doesn't matter. He's going to be in my free hit team in 34. Yeah. So I guess that's the question: is, are you moving on any of those guys? I think there's some people spooked about the schedule going out of the season for Newcastle because they finished with Brighton, Chelsea, Arsenal, and Everton in those last 4 games. I don't know if the matchups matter all that much for them, especially not Brighton and Chelsea.
Yeah.
At Arsenal in 37, I don't know, man. How do you feel about your team at home?
Check the date. Where does that land? With is that around the PSG second leg?
No, it's 2 weeks after that. So the second semifinal, second
leg. They'll be
leg,
reeling still from the loss.
It's true. Will they be mentally recovered from having lost in the semifinal?
I think
that's
they will.
Tuesday, May 6th is the Champions League semifinal.
Okay.
The game against your game against Newcastle is on Saturday, May 17th.
Okay.
A full 11 days after that.
So you said the 6th?
Tuesday, May 6th, Champions League semifinal.
We pay you 4 days after
You don't
that.
play Newcastle until Saturday, May 17th.
I want to be on the record for saying what I'm about to say because it's going to be very
Let me turn you up a little bit.
So I don't know when
Can you put an echo on his voice or something?
I don't think
Like
I don't know when
pronouncement.
the last time a team finished in second for 3 consecutive years. And that's what we're working towards this year.
Mm.
And so I think that's a goal that should be played for. You do get more money as well.
Honestly, it's better than winning 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
It's more like
we
difficult,
were
I'd
really kind of good for 3 years there and then just couldn't seem to get it done.
Yeah.
But we did get a Champions League in the middle of it, so that wasn't that bad. Let's be hopeful.
I'm saying that for example, for myself, I would say as someone who did take a chance on Savinho, I could make 2 moves.
Right.
It would require me to hold on to probably Dan Burn, which I don't particularly love to do, but I'd have to sell Isak.
I don't know if I'd sell Isak.
Well, but that's the thing. It'd be selling Isak to go for, it would be Wissa for me. I would go straight to him. So it'd be Wissa in, De Bruyne in, Isak
I
out,
see what you're doing.
Isak out, Savinho out for a player who I most certainly will be
Vissa and De Bruyne for Isak and
Savinho.
Savinho. Yeah, that is definitely greater than the other.
Yeah,
So
by a decent margin.
Significant margin.
So again, even if you thought about De Bruyne
This week
as a
or next week? This
it
week
would be
right?
for the double. To bring De Bruyne in
Yeah.
for the double.
Yeah.
Wissa would be, because I'd also have to be buying whatever move I make to get Isak out has to be somebody that's good for the way out of the season. Brentford is as good of a team to buy into and attack at least on the way out.
I'm not sold on KDB being able to go the distance on 2 game weeks.
That's the other big question is can he play?
He will likely play,
Can
but
he
how
play
much will he
both
play?
games? It's 3 days.
I think
apart.
they have to have him. I think City's so desperate to qualify at this point, they have to have him play. I don't think they can afford to not have him play.
I don't think
if he's healthy,
I think he wants to play.
I
just don't know that he can physically.
he's healthy. He told you he's healthy.
Well, I wouldn't have guessed if you had said that he was going to play. I mean, it was a full week, but I mean, if you told me he was going to play the entire Manchester derby and then play 86 minutes against Crystal Palace, and that's his first 2 games back after being injured,
He's healthy.
I don't know that I would
He's
have guessed
gonna
that
play.
at all.
He's going to play. I agree. I wouldn't have.
65 against Everton to get ready for to play 90 minutes
Pep
against
has
Villa.
got to have him play. They are struggling. They've got to have him play.
But also the FA Cup semifinal is on Saturday the 26th. So basically they have Everton on Saturday, Villa next Tuesday, and then they're playing in the semifinal, the FA Cup semifinal on that following Saturday. So I think you need him for that more than anything.
I think qualifying for Champions League is more important than that FA Cup semifinal.
That's exactly like it's a complete toss up. It's a complete.
I would
toss-up.
rather not start him in the FA Cup.
Do you go for silverware
Semifinal.
in a difficult season, or do you go?
You have
for
to qualify.
Champions
They
League?
literally are in jeopardy of not qualifying. You have to qualify.
They're playing
I mean,
Nottingham
this summer
Forest, right?
it might not even matter.
They're playing Nottingham Forest, right?
They might get they might be playing poorly because they know they're going to get a points deduction.
They're playing Nottingham Forest, right?
I can't remember.
It's an interesting.
It's Villa
point,
and
Travis.
Palace, City and Forest, I believe is the
I'll
that's
verify.
the semifinal draw.
I
way.
stopped paying attention when my team went out.
No, but I'm saying that's
Yes.
So that's
Villa-
what I'm saying. I
Villa,
depend,
Palace,
I guess
City, Forest. That is correct.
I'm sure there's either a better podcast or somebody who does predicted lineups. I'm sure there's good reasoning. We lost all of our favorite Manchester City
AKA
mind
our
readers
only.
that have been out there, but I'm sure there's someone
They've all
who
gone to
who can guess.
Patreon, and you got to
Yes,
pay
yes,
to hear
that's
our
the
stuff
biggest
now.
thing. Yeah, they're
And now
so
when
good
they
at it.
suck, and no one is actually paying to hear them anything.
I won't knock that though.
You could.
No, it's fine.
They do a lot of work.
I know,
They deserve
I
to be
know.
compensated
You
for it.
said
I'm just being stupid.
so. The one other player, if you really wanted to go wild,
Go Wild.
Gundogan.
No.
No.
All right.
Listen,
all right.
That's too wild.
Listen, 4
All
straight
right.
starts.
Even
All
if
right.
I was following
Hold
your...
Give me some stats.
Oh, my
Saying,
gosh, no.
Give me
he
some
started
stats.
the last
No.
4. He has 18 points in the last 4 games. Only Marmouche has outscored him
Okay.
in the last 4 on City.
All right.
Out of City players.
Okay.
He's created the most chances of any City player. 8 chances created in the last 4 game weeks. Number 1 for Manchester City. 4th most among midfielders, by the way.
Okay.
And he has had 3 big scoring chances in the last 4 games. Only Marmouche and McAtee have had more. They've each had 4. McAtee's had had 4 big chances in 94.
It's like a city-ish segment.
It is the city-ish segment.
94 total minutes in the last 4 games for James McAtee. James McAvoy.
It's definitely not McAvoy.
No, it's
McAtee, but
no, I know.
It is
I know.
James
His
McAtee.
4
It
big
is-
chances in 94 minutes. This is what I was saying. You're not doing unless you are absolutely
Wild.
you are taking the biggest swing in history to get someone like that in your team. But so no, the Gundogan's the only other guy. You're not doing it. No one's doing that. But he's only 0.5% total.
James
So,
John McAtee, just in case you were wondering.
I was
Interesting.
wondering what his middle name is.
All right.
John.
Anyways, we'll get to it.
But so the only other team that
I just think
you're the only other team you would even remotely consider is Villa, and even then, your best chance is probably if you're taking. I guess if you're just taking what you feel like is certainty of minutes, it's Morgan Rogers because he's just not coming out of the team. You're going to take the big swing on
Yeah.
on a performance. You're going to take a swing on a performance. You would do it on Rashford. Given that he started and seems to be have taken over first choice.
I do like Villa.
You did.
So
I'd like to get
When
some
you
Villa
when you
players
needed
in
goals
my
against
team.
PSG, they put Rashford in.
who's more tired, Aston Villa or Newcastle, going into this first part of the double game week
Villa.
33?
Villa, easy.
Villa. I'm with Travis.
Villa, easy.
Man, Morgan Rogers
So-
has been on a tear, bro.
He's been very good. He's been so good, you almost have to apologize for how much you.
I think I'm gonna have to. I was right.
For like 2 weeks.
I was right for a while,
And
and I'm not right in the. I mean, I haven't.
They have
said
2
it.
tough matchups. They have 2 tough matchups this week.
nothing is funnier to me in the last few weeks than seeing the transfers in for Aston Villa defenders because even I think Konza's probably safe, but you would have said that even against Nottingham Forest, and he played 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh.
So even then, like you knew there's rotation, but he's one of those guys where like he's not Konza, not Emi
Brutal.
Martinez, but no, I really am not sure because then you have to for a while there. Luka Dean was still creeping up near the top. I think even last week he was way up there, and I was like, what's anyone doing? Why in the world would you go for him when it couldn't be more clear? There's almost 100% rotation risk
Yeah.
between him and Matson.
Well, but that's you know what that is that they just figure that if they buy Luka Dean, then Alex Moreno might play for Forest. Because that's how it works.
There
Every
was an
time
Alex-
Dean plays,
There
then-
was an Alex Moreno signing, but now that Villa's out of the Champions League, Dean will be back in his spot.
No, Alex Moreno plays for Nottingham Forest.
he's transferred.
whatever.
Yeah, he's not even there anymore.
That's
Whatever.
what I
No,
was
the
saying.
point is, I just think no one really knows what to do with it. Konza's the only possible person you could go for, and even then, that's why I'm saying, like, even just because they play twice, this feels a lot like it feels like a Daniel Munoz situation for this game week. Where's what are you expecting from Newcastle and Manchester City from your Aston Villa defender? Nothing. You're getting nothing from them.
No.
You will luck into a goal from a central defender like Pau Torres. That's the best.
I just
you
want
can-
4 points.
Maybe.
I just want 4 points.
You
Come on.
might get 4
I
points.
just want 4 points. Just please.
That's what you wanted from Munoz, and Munoz got you two.
-1.
-1.
He finished with -1.
Yes.
Finished with -1.
My.
Double match week -1.
It was a 0 and a -1.
That is brutal.
because they lost 5-0,
hilarious.
5-2.
Almost as brutal as when ages ago I captained Giroux one week
Yeah.
on a red card. I'm pretty sure Briney got me a -2 because he's captain. It was -4. It was the worst captainship of all time.
If you were, well, it would have been, there was a point of the game where you were probably celebrating how smart you were for putting Marco Asensio in your team going into the game week last week.
Yeah.
And you get two missed penalties, and the best you get out of it is an assist, but he still finishes with a 2.
Isn't that crazy?
I mean, you
weird
couldn't have
one.
picked. You could. And the only reason why he took the penalties, even because I saw them get a penalty at one point, and I was like, "Yes, Rashford's going to take it," because I'm thinking I need any points.
Sure.
Any points at that point would have been good. And I was like, "Oh, he has 3 points, so he's already off." I'm like, that's annoying." But then the best that you got, though, I think the best part of it is that Unai Emery, they asked about it. They asked about the missed penalties, and basically, are you going to make any changes or whatever? And he was like, "Look, we have our order. Rashford is first choice, Asensio is second choice, and then whatever. I forget who said it was third. Doesn't matter.
Watkins, probably.
Or Tielemans."
Oh, yeah, no, that's actually what it is. It's Tielemans. You're exactly right.
So, but either way,
Choice.
Morgan Rogers still, despite his actual success in penalty taking in the younger England squad, still not taking him for Aston Villa. I guess that's what I'm saying. Like the best you could do here is speculative. All of this was, would you dare triple captain any of these players? And you could romantic pick De Bruyne and just hope that he gets 60 to 70 in the 2 double game week games. Like 60 to 70 minutes.
Oh.
I'm just saying you just hope. That's the best you could hope
I
for.
think it's going to happen.
So,
okay.
All right. So are you willing to bet on that?
Yes.
What's an over-under that we can, of number of minutes that
De Bruyne
that
plays in the double match
KDB
week?
plays in the double match week?
The best.
I mean, you can put it on 120 and I'll
120.
take the over.
Yeah.
I'll take the over.
Do you think he would? Is 120 too high? Because that's 60 and 60.
It's probably pretty close, but let's find out. We need to go through our bets, by the way.
I would love to hear that.
Man, we haven't had any bets in a while.
I need
Yeah,
to go
because you
through
guys have.
I've been keeping track of
You guys
them.
are all soft.
I've been keeping track.
You
I
and
love
Travis
bets.
have gone soft on betting each
Never
other. on
bet.
stuff.
You're in like you. I did put you in a couple bets here though.
Oh,
I love it when
You won one.
I love it
Yeah.
when you
Arsenal
unofficially-
conceding at least one goal game week 3 through 5. You said yes. You won.
That was that long ago.
You also
That's
won the
insane.
Cole Palmer match week 7 and 8 goals. You said under 0.5. Dave said over. You won that one.
Wow.
I've got a couple other ones to
Risky
catch up on.
business.
That was risky
Anyways.
business there at that time of the season. All right. Yeah, I just thought it was interesting with, and again, I'm ready to move on for City because they don't deserve our conversation anymore. I just felt like it was interesting. Number one, it is worth the conversation because there's a double this week, and all of a sudden now with KDB back, they scored 5 goals. Like they haven't done that in a while, and especially without Haaland on the pitch. And I want to give Pep Guardiola, because he listens to this pod, a little bit of credit. Because I haven't before. A lot of people, I think, kind of don't give him credit as a manager because he's always managing superstars and has some of the top players in the leagues on his teams, whether it's at Barcelona, Bayern Munich, or Manchester City. And right now, I mean, he ended up, the guys on that team there weren't many superstars out there on his team, the one that thrashed Palace the other day. He had some good players, right? I mean, obviously De Bruyne is past his prime, but obviously good. He was playing like old De Bruyne this past weekend. Ederson obviously
He's De Bruyne.
It's De Bruyne.
The one thing it nearly certainly isn't is De Bruyne.
It's not De Bruyne. Anyways,
I like saying that. Still,
my
though.
point being is Pep was doing the work there with not like a top level squad. If you look at the names that are out there.
Yeah.
And I just thought maybe he deserves a little bit more credit. Like he doesn't.
No.
He's doing it with a team that.
They cheated.
Well, yeah, maybe. And maybe that will all come around when they don't make Champions League this year.
It won't. They will find a way.
Dave, one more thing about your team, not to drag Arsenal back into it.
I
want to ask about specific players, not just about rotation, but basically after Saka, Saliba, and Raya, who?
Okay, so I was gonna mention this in night moves. I'm bringing in 3 Arsenal players this week. Up to this point, I've had 0.
Timber.
I was gonna say or Kivior.
I am. It's
Okay.
Kivior, Timber, and Saka is who
Wow.
I'm bringing in.
Kivior, Timber, and Saka.
Timber's
now
1-1 in the last 2 weeks.
If I could get to Saliba, I probably would.
Mm-hmm.
But
why was Timber not playing very many minutes the last couple of weeks, by the way?
so another reason why you like him, if Arsenal gives up a late goal, he might be off the pitch. Because if they can get to 70 minutes and they're in control of the game, he'll come off the field and Ben White will come on.
Interesting.
So
Saliba and Timber.
they're still trying to manage his minutes a little bit, but man, he's so good. He is
in
so
the
good.
Courtesy of Fantasy Football Fix statistics, Dave, last 4 game weeks, Saliba and Timber, your highest expected fantasy point scorers for Arsenal. 18.39 for Saliba and 18.16 for Timber. Timber right on his number.
Yeah.
18 points in the last 4 games for him.
Mm.
I understand why it's Ipswich. That was what swayed me to even put Raya in my team.
Right.
Which I ended up, my 3 were Raya, Saliba, and Saka. That's who I wild carded in.
Hold on.
But I guess the question would be like, if Kivior to me would, if I needed the money for moves, there are other moves that like now I would probably make that move instead.
Sure.
Just to save the extra, he's 4.7 or 4.8, something like that. Saliba's 6.5. I mean, that's the difference between an extremely good forward. That's the difference between João Pedro and, I don't know, you actually going for keeping an Isak or going for a Vissa or, I don't know.
Cunha, maybe.
Yeah, but still, I mean, that's probably not that big of a gap, but still. Either way, the point is, Kivior's been excellent. I understand why you would do that. I would like that move. On the defensive side.
I want to defend. So the 4 match weeks, and if you go back 6 match weeks, going back to match week 27, Timber turned in a 6-5-9-7. Okay.
Yep.
Then there's 2 blips there. It's Everton and Brentford.
Right.
Both sandwiched around the Madrid games, where he played 29 and 21 minutes. So he came on as subs in both those games.
Yep.
He was starting those other games.
You conceded 1 each.
Right.
Which is annoying.
Right. And, obviously he came in, so he got 1 point for sub again. My point being is Arsenal was not the full squad Arsenal for the Everton match and the Brentford match. And I think the next 2 matches, for a minimum right now, against Ipswich and Crystal Palace, it's going to be the full squad.
Interesting.
And therefore, I feel very confident in bringing in Timber and Kivior.
Dave, after your defense and goalkeeper, the rest of the stats are really spread out with Saka being out.
Marino's a good bring in.
So I was going to say Martinelli, Trossard, and Declan Rice actually are your leading shooters.
Yeah.
9 shots for each of them
Yep.
in the last 4 games. A minimum of 283 minutes for those 3 guys. Marino, 7 shots in the last 4 games. He's played 285 minutes in those 4 games. Bukayo Saka, 5 shots in his 3 games that he's been back in a total of 96 minutes. To me, all the other stats of what those guys have done is meaningless now that Saka is fit.
Yeah.
Because it seems like everything will now just do what it did before, which is either flow through him or be ending with him somehow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Or for him facilitating again. Saka also 1 big chance in those 3 games, 1 big chance in 96 minutes, which is as much as any other Arsenal player had. Did Martinelli get a Premier League boost with his Champions League performance today?
So it's funny about that. I was actually getting ready to kind of slam him for not doing enough offensively in that game. Of course, he scores today. But what he brought and what we needed was ridiculous work rate and getting back on defense. But then when we got the ball, also getting down the field in the counter. And then when we lost it, then getting back. The fact that he, in injury time, was, number one, still in there. Saka had come off. He was still in there. He went from the left side of the pitch where he played most of the game to the right side. He and Declan Rice are right above the top of the box, spread out. They're apart about 20 yards. And Declan Rice gets the ball, starts passing it around. Martinelli just takes off on a dead sprint. He realizes how high the Madrid back line is. And right when he crosses midfield, Marino sends him a through ball. And then he outruns the guy, Brahim Diaz, who just came in as a sub about 10 minutes earlier with fresh legs. He literally outruns him and then scores on the goalkeeper.
Awesome.
I just couldn't believe his engine at the end of the match. As much as he had done and as hard as he had worked all game, it was fascinating. I don't know. It's
Dave.
weird, man. We all know this. Football is you get a goal like that. Like, it looked like a goal that he was scoring 2 years ago. And so, yes, it was a breakaway goal. The fact is he finished it. He's had some of those this season, and he hasn't finished them. So who knows? Maybe, I mean, does this give you some confidence going in next time? Yeah, probably.
Well, so
And sometimes like a little goal like that, Travis, this can get you jump-started.
So what I was going to say is not only 9 shots, which is right now in the last 4 games team leading or team tied for team lead. Martinelli, your top chance creator for Arsenal in the last 4 games. 8 chances created. He only has 1 assist in the last 4 games, but still more chances created than Declan Rice or Martin Odegaard. And he 34 touches in the opposition box for Gabriel Martinelli, 16 more than second place Leandro Trossard, and 18 more than third place Mikel Merino. So I guess that's my question. It's not just Martinelli propaganda minute, but I guess that's he's playing the minutes though. That's the thing. So Declan Rice is playing the most minutes,
Right.
which is understandable, and he might be the real bargain here. But Declan Rice 6.2, Marino's still 6.1, and Martinelli just a little bit more expensive at 6.5. Could you pick wrong?
Yes.
You could. I think the guy with the biggest chance to score there is probably Marino.
Okay.
But I would, again, I'm doing it. So the 3 guys, if you didn't have any Arsenal players, I'd rank them. I think
Saka,
bringing in the defenders.
Saka 1
Saka
or
1.
defender 1?
Saka 1.
Okay.
Saka 1, defender 2 and 3.
Okay.
Interesting.
I mean, that's
If you're
what I'm
buying
doing. I'm putting
Saka-
my money where my mouth is. That's what I'm doing.
If you're buying Saka, you're not buying one of the other attackers.
Correct.
And if you're buying other players, not Saka, your first choice is to figure out how to get one of Saliba, Kivior, or Timber in your team. Would you pick Raya ahead of Marino? I'm just thinking of on your choices of Arsenal players, how you're sorting through these people, because they're all. Raya makes it. I don't know. Raya is the number 1 transfer in for goalkeepers this week, by a ton. 71,000 transfers in for Raya. Second place, Emi Martinez with 17,000. So if anyone's buying a goalkeeper this week, it's 70% chance of being David Raya. I don't know if that's how statistics work, but that's how I'm saying it.
If I was ranking Arsenal players, it would be Saka, Timber, and Marino. Even though I'm bringing in Kivior.
Okay.
But mainly for the next 2 match weeks, because I think they're high level chance of a clean sheet. But that's how I would rank them. And then, Raya could be 4th.
Interesting.
But I think they have a legit shot at a couple clean sheets. Their defense played so well against Madrid And they got some good vibes going, and they don't want to lose that going into PSG. So like they're going to want to turn into some performances.
I was going to say if they get a goal scored on them by Ipswich, I think
Delap is.
I think there
hot.
should be a protest.
Look, you could easily look at this as like a trap game, but I think focusing on the performance, knowing that the league is out of touch, it's their actual performance that matters to prepare themselves for 2 weeks to make sure their levels don't drop.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, might actually be more of a motivation than if you were actually just trying to win the game in the league. That probably doesn't make any sense, but if you're focusing on your individual performance because you got to be ready in 2 weeks as opposed to, holy crap, we have to win this game, we're trying to catch Liverpool, I think the motivations are just a little bit different, maybe a little less pressure, but also you're focused on what you're doing. And so, yeah, I think they're going to turn in 2 clean sheets here.
Okay.
I do. I think they're going to turn in 2 clean sheets. So and anyone going to Raya, sure, but I mean, I Timber has a chance for either a goal and or an assist, and Raya won't. So I would easily rank him higher.
Takeaway is by Gundogan and
Yes,
Martinelli.
That's exactly.
Got it.
That's exactly
By
what I'm saying.
Gundogan, by Martinelli.
I would say
Make it happen.
too. I don't know how much we haven't done this in a while. I feel like some people will give you the kind of recent competitions or whatever between kind of head to head what it's looked like for teams. But for what it's worth, Dave, you have sort of smashed Crystal Palace. The last loss you have to Crystal Palace is April 2022. Palace beat you 3-0 in that game. But otherwise, in the last 3 games, you have scored a total of 13 goals on Crystal Palace. You won 5-1 in December. You beat them 3-2 in the league in a cup game. So that doesn't count. But and then the last time you played them, the last 2 Premier League games though against Crystal Palace have been 5-1 and 5-0.
Oh, jeez.
So I don't know.
I tell you might want to have Marino in there then, and or maybe Martinelli. I mean, when you look at those stats,
I'll tell you, Dave, that Martinelli has scored 3 goals in the last 2 Premier League matches
against Palace,
against Crystal Palace.
I love those stats. Now those stats are always important. For whatever reason, I always remember this one. I don't even remember the week. I remember Christian Eriksen and finding out after the week had passed that like Christian Eriksen, when he was playing for Tottenham, always scored against this one team, whatever it was. And sure enough, he like had a brace that weekend. I'm like, how did I not know that stat before? I love those stats.
Well, obviously, the past results are no predictor of future.
No, but there's some weird
returns,
things
but
in football that
whatever.
happens, just like how Madrid's never beat Arsenal in the Champions League. There's weird things.
You're yes or no on adding a Villa player?
For this week?
Yeah.
I'm not adding a Villa player this week, but I will be adding Morgan Rogers after this week.
Okay. Travis?
I'm not adding any Villa players, no.
You have Morgan Rogers currently.
I do have Morgan Rogers. I also have Ezri Konsa.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's the best you can say about it. I really do. I don't feel bad for anybody who bought Marco Asensio, but Asensio and Rashford kind of the standout here in the last, definitely the last 3 games for them. But their minutes have not been fantastic in the last 3 games. But I don't think it matters now. I think that's the
doesn't matter.
The clear priority for them is getting into the Champions League spots.
Right.
Which you just think that first choice players are going to get into all the starting places. So, Dave, I really should have put Malen in my team.
Do you have the stones to do that?
No, because
you talked about it.
No, he asked about would you consider Malen, and for me, I was like, no, obviously not. And 3 goals later, and I'm saying. But also, he only played 88 minutes. In the last 3 games. He keeps subbing on and scoring goals, and everyone keeps asking
like
why
the Trossard question. Yeah,
he is doing an early season Trossard for sure.
Single game week people, because this is part of the strategy. Obviously, now doesn't matter that they're not playing twice. Jacob Murphy and Harvey Barnes cracking up into the top 10 of transfers in for everybody for the game week.
Yeah, how can you not consider Harv?
The only reason why you wouldn't consider Harv...
Are you going to mention Aaron Gordon again and his health?
Aaron Gordon? No, I'm not. Well, no, Anthony Gordon for sure. I am not.
Gordon.
No, I feel like that was a...
No, it was. It was a legit thing.
I feel like that was totally fine to say.
I feel
real good about having said that.
I was just wondering. No, you were right when you said it. I just didn't know if it was gonna be repeated.
Dave, this is here.
Because
this is.
I just feel like Barnes is producing. Why would Gordon take any time from him?
This is the Dave Smith. This is something that in a different part of the season, in a different situation, you would be making your transfer to him
immediately,
regardless, because in the last 5 game weeks, he's gone 6, 5, 8, 15, 12. He's got 4.
Barnes?
Harvey Barnes has 5.
Those are his numbers?
4 goals.
Yeah, why aren't you thinking about him?
4 goals and 3 assists in the last 5 game weeks. I would say that's safely the most points of any midfielder.
But he had 2 or 3.
Oh my gosh!
In the first match,
the second he started,
got a brace, and then
the second he started, Newcastle has gone on a win streak of 5 games.
I feel like I remember saying last week, all we have ever wanted to see is Harv
in the
starting
minutes.
I just want him to start.
Those are we could check and see. I don't think we can.
6, 5, 8, 15, 12.
That's
he
amazing.
is 2.1% selected. A massive difference.
5.9.
There you are. There's your guy.
Obviously, Villa, just the single game week for Villa. I'm saying that's why this strategy for me is a big deal. Because Jacob Murphy, Jacob Murphy hasn't done anything to make you want to get rid of him.
I mean, Murphy in the last 5 match weeks, 3, 5, 16, 5, 14.
Right.
Close. I think Harv's got him by a few points, but it's close.
Yeah, those two.
It's not like you're losing tons of ground owning Murphy.
No,
it's just a bold move. Do you want to own them both?
The only person who's lost ground in any of this is Isak. Because he's not the one.
Yeah.
He's not the one. He's not a part of it, or he's a minimal part of it.
Yeah.
To me, the rest of the season, like no matter what, one of those guys is going to be, whether you're free hitting or not. Like you're hit home against Ipswich in 34.
I'm having both of them in my free hit team. I mean, everyone
you could pile up. You just put Murphy, Barnes, and Isak.
Right, correct.
If you're free hitting,
correct.
That's 3 of your players for your. I don't know. I probably still won't do that. I'll probably go Harv.
You're wild.
I'm captaining Harv.
Yeah.
No, but like,
all right.
And that's not even. We haven't even said one word about the most important team in Premier League or England football history. For that,
we had a section about them. Arsenal.
No.
Dave talked
Liverpool.
about
Who?
Liverpool United.
Who?
I'm just kidding. Liverpool.
Liverpool United.
No, Liverpool, obviously.
The team that plays in Liverpool, Everton?
The team that plays at Leicester this week.
This is a great matchup.
So, again, strategy-wise, what are you doing with Salah? There are some people who are selling.
Those are crazy people. I'm not selling
selling
Salah.
him. Luis Diaz.
Not selling him if I own him.
Oops, I did it again.
Yeah.
Luis Diaz outscoring Mo Salah again. Continues to be the guy who seems like the one most likely.
Right. Only one that wants to run.
So what are you doing here? Luis Diaz, 5th most transferred in among midfielders. There's a huge...
Diaz, last 5 weeks, 8, 6, 9, 6, 9.
Yes.
Do it. Yeah. Diaz is a good idea. Selling Salah just doesn't feel great.
Him or selling Salah to have him
selling
instead?
Salah doesn't sound like a great idea, but owning Diaz does.
Okay.
So go sell Cole Palmer and bring in Diaz.
That's the thing. The top 3 transfers in, Saka, Rodgers, De Bruyne. There's over 100,000 transfers.
Nothing
Not
wrong
bad.
with any of those.
And then a massive drop-off to everyone else. As a 4th at 60,000 transfers, Luis Diaz 5th at 56,000.
Yeah.
I mean, he said last week, look, Diaz was out shooting Salah even going into last week.
Yeah, and then
he did it again.
Yeah.
And so now, like, just is the matchup enough that you want to exploit that? Like, do you want to go after that? Is there any chance? Oh, also Trent Alexander-Arnold. Obviously, that was a big deal. Is that he was training again? So
Not gonna matter.
Really,
Yeah, not gonna matter. If he gets minutes, it'll be off the bench. He's not gonna start.
would you buy Connor Bradley if you
Trent? Not with Trent. Training, I would not buy Connor.
So here's
Bradley.
what I would have done. I'm 0.1 away. I told Dave this weekend. I wanted Dan Byrne to go up a tenth. I wanted him to go to 4.6 because I bought him at 4.4. I wanted him to go up to 4.6 because then that 1/10 was enough for me to go Isak, Savino, and Byrne out, Wissa, De Bruyne, and Connor Bradley in.
Yeah.
But Connor Bradley being 4.7,
Yeah.
that 10th, I couldn't do it. And so I was like, oh, Dan Byrne got me again. And now
He got burned.
I would have, because it was exact
That's a
money.
Oh.
Because it was exact money, I would have done it. I would have done it on Saturday. Like, I would have done that as fast as possible, especially after Connor Bradley got bonus points benched before the West Ham goal. So,
Yeah.
I think he finish with 3 bonus? I think he got 3 bonus. I think he finished with a 9.
And on an early sub.
Yeah.
Good for him.
He was extremely good, as he always is whenever he plays majority minutes. But yeah, Trent now, if I had done that, I'd probably be, I don't know. It wouldn't be enough probably to put me off of bench boosting, but
Yeah, I don't think
not
that's a
buying
good
him
way
now.
to go. I think you needed him last week, but that's about the extent of it. And last week, maybe this week, but I wouldn't go to him now because then you're gonna have to ship him out before the end of the season anyway. So I don't think that there's enough value there.
All right, very good. We on to night moves?
Yes.
I don't know. I mean,
Let's
look,
do it. We came
got-
here with
listen.
little to say.
No,
let's
but
just,
look,
let's
there's
just get out.
Listen, there's other, just that the best
Get out
matchups,
here.
the best matchups this week. I mean, just taking a quick scan through. I mean, after the double game week, people like
Right. You love Liverpool.
Liverpool's it's a great
Right.
matchup.
Liverpool and
Leicester.
Liverpool at Leicester, Arsenal, obviously Arsenal, but the Ipswich game is always a good one. But West Ham's home to Southampton.
Yeah,
I've
that's
seen
good.
it. I mean, a lot more
Yep.
love for Jared Bowen, and I don't know. You're not buying Kudus. I don't even know. I'd say his name, but other than just say he's good, and
He's doing what Semenyo's doing, right? Like looks the part, has some decent numbers, but just isn't doing anything from a fantasy
so
perspective.
the bench boost. So you said about juicy matchups. So that's why to me, bench boost 33 made way more sense than 32 because
Because the matchups.
Areola is 4.2. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I think, is either. I don't think he's 4.4, but he is 4.5, and it's a certainty of a start for him in the best. You know what up to this point has been probably the best possible matchup. Leicester might.
There are a couple of pretty good ones.
Would you consider bench boosting 38? Just saving it for 38?
So he and I talked about that before you got here. There are goals
Travis
in
had a great
38.
idea.
There
about
always are.
There's goals in 38. So what if you just
I just
save
think
the bench
I
boost.
just
And it gives me time to
I just think it's
transfer in the right guys.
well, but that's the thing. You never know.
And
that,
the
though.
top teams never play each other in the last match.
This is
week.
why everyone argues about bench boosting game week 1 because it's the most certain lineup
Goals.
that you're ever
Yeah.
going to get ahead of a game week. And so that's why 38, there's always a million goals, but you might set yourself up in 37 for what you feel like is the best possible bench boost team and then something, they shut someone down or
why are they going to shut anybody down though? That's the issue.
that's
Why would they
true,
shut them
like-
down?
I guess if you're building out of all of the top, you'd have to build your entire team
Out of the
out
top.
of 1 through 8.
Yeah, which is
But why wouldn't
probably
you do that
close to that
anyways? Yeah,
anyways. Because they're never going. The top teams are never playing each other in the last match.
Yeah, that's exactly the point.
No, but I mean, even in
Yeah,
that,
Chelsea and Nottingham Forest are not playing each other.
right? But still, like you're still getting. I
Yeah.
mean, if I think like 37 is going to be a bad week for whoever is not playing, like whoever blanks that week. Which right now, if it's Manchester City, there goes your Manchester. There's like 2 or 3 people. If you
Right.
putting that's your bench is already gone in game week 37. And if you have Villa if it's Villa or if it's Palace, like whoever that other team is, depending on where you've gone, like you're now down. You're down.
It's
a person.
the last week though. What do we
You'd
care?
be losing, and say it's Villa, like you'd be losing whoever Aston Villa players you have for 38, where they're playing at Manchester United, the worst Manchester United team in Manchester United history.
Their words, not yours.
Everyone's words, even Manchester United's words. But I guess that's what that's what I'm saying. Like, how much are you confident about the Arsenal lineup at Southampton in game week 38?
I think
a lot of kids.
Interesting. I think there'll at least be
if you have
11 days. It'll be the starters. It'll be the starters because they're going to be getting a tune-up for the Champions League
right.
final.
So conditional on Champions League final.
So that might play into it a little bit.
But if you're out and you've wrapped up second, who's playing that week?
Starters.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so because I think the thought is like you've played this long, you've earned it. The fans come. Fans want to see you go out with a win. They're paying their money to come see the starters, not a bunch of benchers. And you want to end the season on a good note with a win.
Okay. No, I mean
they might score 10 on Southampton.
It's that you're at Southampton. If it was a home game against Southampton, okay. I don't know.
I still think you don't want bad vibes.
I know.
You're not gonna let a relegated Southampton beat you on the last day.
I think that, however, like whatever happens with that 5th place, depending on what this because this top is great. Like this 2 through 8 is extremely good right now. And you could almost push down into 9 and 10, as far as the standings go.
Yeah.
Fulham's I don't know. We've talked about it before. Fulham, I think Fulham's probably out of it. But other than that, I think everyone above them, maybe Brighton might be out of it too.
Yes.
I think Bournemouth's out. I mean, I think it's for the last.
Bournemouth's the only one that has
Bournemouth,
a chance.
Brighton, and Fulham were the three who are kind of in that upper tier. But Newcastle, Chelsea looks terrible though. Newcastle, Chelsea, obviously.
Forest, City, and Villa.
Chelsea's got
those
a tough
teams
run,
are real good.
Yeah. And
so, yeah, I wouldn't want to wait that long. I feel like a lot of the point of this is to bench boost where that's why I'm saying for me, part of it was I'll take my chances. I hate that Southampton seems to be able to score on anyone now. But last week, how many people? I mean, I saw a ton of content creators who had gone to Brighton because they were playing Leicester. Leicester hadn't scored a goal since for 10 weeks, and they scored twice.
Yeah.
So all those players that you went to, if you went to Verbruggen or Stupinian or whatever, and you end up with a 1 or a 2 out of those guys,
brutal,
useless. So it's not like it's a guarantee. So even West Ham, you can build your bench with West Ham players. I mean, I'll do that. I'll at least have Areola on my bench. But the next best player I think to get for this bench boost is Wan-Bissaka. So I like that matchup, a home matchup to Southampton for West Ham. I like that better than some of these other matchups that are down the road, just hoping I hope that center back from that 7th place team gets me a goal in Goalfest weekend.
Hey, I think you're poo-pooing it, but I think I'm leaning, even though you've said a bunch of positive things about not doing what I'm leaning towards doing.
Do it. Listen.
I'm still going to roll the dice, baby.
There has never been a season that is more true. That ignore whoever is telling you to do whatever. Do whatever you feel like. Play your own game.
Dave, what game are you playing? Have you made any moves tonight?
Game this week. Yeah, the game I'm playing this week, my night moves of the week, I am bringing in Timber and bringing in Kivior and bringing in Saka and bringing in De Bruyne, and I'm taking 2 hits to do it and saying, screw it all.
Wow.
And I had 2 transfers. Obviously, I'm making 4, therefore taking 2 hits. And I think I'm going
going out.
And I think I'm going to captain. Here, I'll tell you. Going out, is Anthony Robinson, Houston, Cole Palmer, and Bruno Fernandes.
That's some
Heavy.
That's some big weight. Cole didn't do enough to warrant a.
He's been ice cold. Even though he warmed up a little, he's not better in this double match week than Saka and De Bruyne. And I gotta make some. I gotta catch up to a few people in front of me. One of them being Mr. Brian Chesko is at least I think 10 points ahead of me, and I gotta try to do something to try to chase him down.
I love that Cole Palmer statistically has been almost as good, if not as good, as he was during the best part of his season. He's been extremely productive in every category except ball in net.
Well, I don't know if you know this, Brian, but that's how they win the game.
Oh, by the way, I didn't finish. I think I'm captaining Saka.
Yeah.
Okay.
We knew. You didn't have to say
I'm gonna just do it.
Oh, you're looking at me like you're
Even
expecting me to go.
I feel like this should be like best ball. Whoever's closest to the hole gets to.
I don't think that's how best ball works.
Actually, is the opposite.
So
Whoever's closest goes last.
I made 2 moves today. I only had 1 transfer, but I made 2 moves. So I did take a hit. The first was to move from Howe to Arteta. Because I am still on my final week of my assistant managership.
You're going to score 40 points this week.
And then I moved on from Cole Palmer to Bukayo Saka.
Okay.
And I will be captaining Saka.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So I will make up my hit, probably.
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
that's the plan.
That is a solid.
I feel like
that's a solid plan.
My hit's gonna my -8's gonna get factored in.
How many doublers do you have?
How many
doublers do you
I'm captain.
do you have?
I might actually triple captain Saka.
Okay. How many doublers do you have though?
I'm gonna have 6.
Yeah, 6. That same 6. What are you doing?
Well, right now, if I just my starting 11 is a full team of double game week people except Salah.
You're kidding me.
10 doublers.
That's incredible. Good for you.
10 doublers and Salah.
Hey, hold on, real quick. This is always scary. I just went to hit confirm, and on my transfers, and it says unable to confirm. Prices have changed.
Oh man!
Wait,
who
was?
You got to refresh the page.
Who was it? Who was coming in?
Saka, Timber, Kivior, De Bruyne.
So Saka went up.
Saka had to have gone up.
Thankfully, now I have to re-queue it all up again. That's so annoying. I'm sorry, Brian.
What'd you pay for him?
I interrupted. I have no idea. I'm redoing it all right me.
Yes, Saka went up. Saka had to have gone up. Yeah. Was he 10.5? Was he 10.4 whenever you were doing the transfer?
I don't recall. I had a little wiggle room. I had like 0.4 wiggle room, so I think I'm gonna be okay.
The question is
anyway. Sorry, Brian, I interrupted.
So I also banked my transfer last week. That was part of the reason why. I mean, I said I didn't. I feel like I was playing for not just this double week, but also kind of for the rest of the season. I feel like the free hit 34. It doesn't. You only have from 34 to 37. On basic transfers, you only have.
Palmer went down. That's why you're.
That's
what happened to you.
Okay,
you should have done it before.
It did. It went from 0.3 to 0.4. I love losing a 10th.
Yeah. You lost money on
within
Palmer.
minutes. That's fantastic.
No, because coming back in, you'd only have 35 and 36, so you only have 2 transfers to be ready for another blank in 37, and then whatever moves you want to go to at the end in 38. So it's just not a lot of free transfers. I'm not planning that far ahead to have
because you won all the doubles,
2 or 3 or 4 transfers. I'm not going to be
your
able to
free
do
hit
that.
next week.
Right. So that's why I'm, just looking ahead. I do not cannot possibly risk having Savinho going into this double game.
Are you going to transfer Salah out and bring in another doubler?
I'm not transferring Salah out for this at all. The only question would be, who does Savinho turn into, and is there any possible way I resist De Bruyne instead of Savinho? There's
a possible way, and it's just money, right? What's their price?
Yes, but that's exactly why to get there requires me to sell Isak. I could keep Isak, and yes, if I sell Salah to anyone, then there's money to do anything you want in the whole world. So if it was Salah to Diaz,
and then
it's
KDB comes in for Savinho. That's actually a pretty good setup. How many transfers do you have right now?
2. So
you just talked yourself into it, didn't you?
Well, but I also
let me push the button for you.
I don't want Dan Burn, so that's the other part of this. I don't
put
want
him on your bench. It's fine.
But that's why if I bench boost, I don't want Dan Burn on my bench boost.
Correct.
So he might get another 7.
Oh yeah, can't wait. No, so that's the question. If it's just sticking with Salah and just hoping that form or whatever he's doing, like that, this is just a slight dip. His involvement is a dip and not indicative of how he's going to end the season. Are you worried about that?
No, he scored a 6 this week. Come on. I'm telling you. So Connor Bradley makes him better. Trent coming in for Bradley makes him better.
That's correct.
Right? So I think Salah is going to be fine. I think Salah in the stretch is going to be fine, especially if they struggle again to get over the line with 6 points.
All he needs is to get 2 penalties in a game again, and we're talking about how great he is. So no, I was not even
one penalty would probably be enough.
I was not even considering selling Salah at all, because who's going to outscore who? Like, you want to put a bet on the table is who scores the most points from now to the end of the season: Alexander Isak or Mo Salah. You want to put a bet on that kind of thing, because that would be the decision. Is it worth it to get rid of Salah and keep someone like Isak, thinking like Isak might be able to cover him, and if you can move the money around, if that gives
between
you
now and the end, or a golden boot?
No, I mean like between game week 33 to game week 38. Who kind of like, would you rather have Isak and someone,
or Salah
and
no one?
No, like Joao Pedro, because that's where you have to go down. That's what I'm saying. Like if I want to move Savinho to somebody that matters, you need $3. That's a lot of money.
So they both have to play Chelsea and Arsenal. Newcastle gets Ipswich, but Liverpool has Leicester.
Yeah, that's
Villa, Tottenham, both have to play Brighton and Hove. Honestly, it's a really similar lineup in terms of fixtures that are remaining.
Yeah.
Really similar.
It's tricky. What I had been planning was selling Isak, going to someone that is going to be, somebody that's playable the rest of the season. Which is why I was saying Brentford. Brentford. I like the Brentford schedule on the way out. Obviously, Wissa can score against whoever he feels like,
including Ipswich. In 36.
The Joao Pedro scoring 2 penalties this game week was really, really annoying, because that somebody who I had not even considered even a little bit. All of a sudden somebody became somebody that is probably not a terrible choice, other than the Liverpool game at home in 37. I mean, honestly, the Brighton schedule on the way out is fine.
Even that one will probably be fine anyways. So what does that mean for you though? What are you doing?
I'm just saying my move. This is the best transfer.
This is a long preamble.
No, just that it's De Bruyne. If De Bruyne is coming in for Savinho, I need to make
Isak.
I can either make Isak.
Wissa.
Isak can be Wissa or Pedro. Savinho can become De Bruyne, and then my hit. If I was taking a hit, if I really wanted to kind of hit a little higher on the bench boost, what I feel like is a better bench boost would be selling Dan Burn to probably Wan-Bissaka. Could be Konza. Don't count on that even a little bit. I would not even think of that working out. It also requires me to keep
just because he's in a blank.
Requires me to keep Nico Williams. So that would be another one. Is it's just Nottingham Forest are at Spurs. That becomes a bench boost player for me. It's not my favorite, but
You can score against Spurs.
Yes.
Travis, is there a chance that Leicester scores?
Yes, 100%. The folly of expecting Liverpool to keep a clean sheet is going to bite you, and it's not going to be good. Yes, it has been comical.
Is this like a 5-1 game?
You could have said Ars.
No, I was.
That's his
Also, would you rather start Isak or Vissa?
I was going to ask that question, but I ended up just starting
if you
them
had
both.
to start one.
I don't know.
I started them both.
Start one this week. Vissa home to Brighton. Isak at Villa.
Both.
They're the same. Harvey Barnes is the striker now.
Yeah.
Isak who? He's picking up
So
scraps.
then it's Vissa.
No, Isak's great.
I know, but Vissa's lightly outscored him in the last 4 match weeks.
Do you start Bumo or Jacob Murphy?
It's the same question.
It's the same question. That's why I ask it, because it's the same question.
Is that dilemma you have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in order to pick one of them, I started both Vissa and Isak.
I mean, honestly, I'm starting 2 Palace players that
Same.
I don't even like their matchups at Arsenal. It's only the home Bournemouth match that you're hoping to get something out of. So,
Or they rekindle their away form.
for sure.
Yeah.
I just don't think so. Anyway, like I have guys on my bench. I'm like, I think I'd rather play those guys than the double.
All right,
than
Brian.
the Palace guys on the double.
Yeah.
I have activated my triple captain, by the way.
Good for
Official.
Wow.
you. Good for you.
Official.
I'm glad you hemmed and hawed around that long enough
Yes,
to make a
thank you.
decision. Brian, you got one last thing for us?
Just that there's a ton of love for Ryan Sessegnon from some folks kind of hanging around out there. He's
Who?
Ryan Sessegnon, Fulham. I think was going to probably be
All right.
maybe a little under the radar, I guess. As far, I mean,
A little, or-
ownership is at 0.5%. He's $4.1. No, it's tiny. It's just that he's gone 7-4-7-1 in the last 4 games. He's not playing a ton of minutes. Scored against you guys. Scored against Liverpool.
Yes, he did.
Only played 56 minutes against Bournemouth, which is probably not the tiny amount of people who have him probably weren't happy about that. It's just that they play
school for ants.
game week
This is tiny
34.
peoples.
Fulham play at Southampton, and so I think that was one of the kind of on that. If you're going to pick a Fulham player, which you'd be tempted to, I would imagine, because of the matchup alone. Just that in the last 4 game weeks, Ryan Sessegnon, he's playing up front. He's playing as a winger. He's not playing as a defender. So he's taken 8 shots in the last 4 games, which is most of any defender, despite playing basically half the amount of minutes of most of the defenders who are shooting as much as that.
It's a
Brian,
good tidbit.
we're getting close to the time of year.
He has 3 big chances in the
Sessegnon.
last 4 games.
And 1 goal.
It's the most of anyone. He's got 21 touches in the opposition box in 155 minutes. The second place is Diogo Dalot. 15,
that is shocking.
15 touches in 360 minutes.
That's a lot
So
more.
actually double the number of minutes.
Yeah.
And Sessegnon is out touching him
In
by
the box.
6. Just I was one of those guys where I was like, would you really do that? And you look at it and you're like, on a free hit, yes, he's absolutely going to be on your free hit team because he's 4.1.
Oh, wow.
So I think you would take your
All right.
chances there.
It's a good word for next week. Brian, you're captaining this week. Did you already say it? Captaining.
It's going to depend on what's left.
I don't know, man. I might ride the vibes. I might take De Bruyne.
Okay. Don't hate that. De Bruyne is my vice.
Could be Marmouche.
This never goes well, by the way, when I captain Arsenal players. It never goes well for me.
Good to know.
I would
Ever.
just something like listen. If you're picking Manchester City since Marmouche started, so game week 23 is Omar Marmoush's first game with Manchester City. Since game week 23, Marmoush is the number one scoring forward, 56 points, 3 more than Alexander Isak. So Marmoush has more points than the next best forward since he came into the league. He has 30 shots, 15 shots on target since game week 23. That is number one of all forwards. Marmoush is scoring and constantly putting himself into scoring positions. Marmoush is an extremely safe captain. And I guess depending on how you see that hat trick that he scored, weeks and weeks ago, he might have a ceiling that's better than a lot of other players. It's just that, look, it's the midfield captain. Like, look what happened if you went off script and you captain Jacob Murphy, right. Or if you're one of the lunatic 50 people in the world who triple captained Harvey Barnes this week.
Jeez,
like you're screaming right now. But I'm just saying. Look. The numbers are there.
Yeah.
This is another week where Salah might, by just because dead teams or default captains or whatever, Salah might still be the most captain player, which it might not be crazy.
It might not be bad.
That's what I mean. It might be totally fine to captain Salah against Leicester in the single game week, but it's just I feel like the double game week gives you at least a few different options. It's just how risky do you feel? How much do you count on security of minutes?
Yeah,
that's the big question.
All right. Well, gents, good words, especially Travis, when we came in and you're like, we got nothing.
Why are we here?
Why are we even here? Why are we doing this? No, we do this because we love this. And we get smarter, and I hope you guys get smarter too. At least choosing to do opposite of what we say.
Hey, the good thing for us, at least, is that the deadline is at 10 a.m. Eastern time here in the United States on Saturday. So there is I won't be asleep through the deadline. My favorite thing of doing.
I'll be 3 beers in by then.
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay. Maybe.
Yeah, you got those. You got those four. I guess kind of fun games.
Are you sure, Brian? The deadline will be 8:30.
Game week.
Eastern.
No. I'm saying the kickoff is 10 a.m. The deadline.
Yes, it'll be
instead of 6 o'clock a.m.
Yes.
The deadline is 8:30.
There's no early.
Time, yes.
There's no
Eastern
early
time.
United States of America.
Yes, there is no early kickoff, and so for us sitting here at this table, it's a little
on
bit
the eastern coast of the United States.
Last thing as we check out.
He already did the last thing. What are you changing our
format?
Is
there a chance that teams are going to start going to the beach this early? Like Brentford, like some of the mid-table teams that are stuck down there.
That's a throwback.
Just be thinking about that. We'll discuss it next week. But this is the time
I think
of season.
this is when we're going to find out.
All of a sudden, I mean, you don't have to worry about the top teams. There's no relegation fight.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, it's like there's some guys that are like, I'm kind of ready to go on vacation, man. We're not playing for anything. I don't want to get hurt. I don't want it to ruin a contract. Like, it's getting close to that time of season.
I guess as long as Palace through Bournemouth feel like they're not mathematically eliminated from top 5, they can play hard, but just feels like they're too far down.
Just want to throw that out there, maybe give you guys a teaser of what we will discuss going forward. Whether that will be relevant or not, we will have to wait and see. All right, gentlemen, good work for the FPL America podcast. This is David Smith. Until next time.